Good evening, everyone. A very good evening. Yeah. Good evening, friends. Hello, everyone. Welcome to VENKANNA English Guru. Friends, we have started online classes for NTA, AP set and Telangana set examination for English. So, friends, we are actually talking about English literature. I'm actually giving you a lot of stuff with regard to history of English literature, friends. So, wait for a second before we start the session. Okay, friends. Yeah, yeah. A very good evening. Very good evening, everyone. A very good evening. I know that you've been listening to the classes in a keen way. It's a good sign. So, friends, I hope you are on the way to apply for this NTA 2021 examination because UGC is planning to conduct December 2020 and June 2021 examinations together into single. So those who have already applied for December 2021 and they need not apply this time, only the new candidates who have not applied and the interested students, you can apply for this NET examination, which is going to give you a lot of practice, my friends. And as I told you several times, and if you are below 30, do your PhD with your junior research fellowship. So if you are above 30 and try to, because see, NET, JRF, set, all these will have weightage. Academic performance index, we have a specific criteria for the selection of the candidates into university. So if you want to work in a university or degree colleges, in a reputed colleges in India, you should have the set NET JRF, my friends. And if there are any chances, because see, qualifying JRF is not a joke, but if you qualify, you will have good marks, not just only fellowship. You will also have a good reputation, good marks, good weightage. If you go for any placements, if you apply in different universities like IITs, NITs, and different universities, my friends, so you will get that chance. So, and if you qualify set, you will get 0, but you are eligible only to apply. But if you qualify NET, you will get 5 marks. If you qualify JRF, you will get 7 marks. Friends, that this is what you will lose your jobs or your placement within 1-2 marks, because very difficult. So that's what, if you are so serious and serious to get through NET, you can. If you have ability to qualify JRF, you can go with that. So friends, we are talking about history of English literature. So far we covered 2 simple periods, my friends. I hope you have gone through something. Yes, before we go into the class, let me ask you few questions. Yes, what is that? What is the source for writing Canterbury Tales? What is the source for writing the Canterbury Tales by and Geoffrey Chaucer? Come on, can somebody answer this question? What is the source for writing the Canterbury Tales to Geoffrey Chaucer? Yes, quick, my friends. What is the source for writing the Canterbury Tales? Very important. Boccaccio's Decameron. Wonderful, Raju. Wonderful guy. Yes, these types of responses we require. You need to have the answers should be on your fingertips. On your fingertips. Wonderful, my friends. Wonderful. Apart from Troilus and Cressida, Chaucer composed dash poem in rhyme royal. What is that? Yes, I repeat the question. Apart from writing the poem Trillis and Cressida in Rhyme Royal, Chaucer also composed another poem in Rhyme Royal or Trillis stanza or Chaucerian stanza. Who will say this answer? Come on, quick, my friends. Who will give this answer? Yes, quick. Yes, Parliament of Fowls. Wonderful. Not Canterbury Tales. Canterbury Tales is actually composed in dash. Yes, very important. Dash. The Canterbury Tales is actually composed in dash. Dash. Dash work. Yes, come on. Can somebody say? Yes. The Book of Duchess, which is actually composed in Rhyme Royal. That is Twilight stanza. The Canterbury Tales is actually composed in dash stanza form. Yes, heroic couplet, wonderful. And Chaucer composed a dash following poem in octasyllabic couplet. In octasyllabic couplet, Chaucer employed octasyllabic couplet in dash poem. Come on, can somebody say? Yes, Chaucer composed dash poem in octasyllabic couplet, not a decasyllabic couplet. Decasyllabic couplet and the Canterbury Tales and Legend of Good Women and the other. Yes, come on, can somebody says the Book of Duchess? The Book of Duchess, wonderful, my friends, wonderful. Yes, this is what. How many pilgrims are there? How many pilgrims are there as a whole? As a whole, in the Canterbury Tales, come on, can somebody answer this question? How many pilgrims are there in the text, in the poem, the Canterbury Tales? No, only 30. 30. Including, including the poet 30, excluding the poet 29. Yes. The Legend of Good Woman. The Legend of Good Woman. How many and types of women and Chaucer wanted to write? Discuss in the poem The Legend of Good Women. In the poem Legend of Good Women, how many varieties of women and did Chaucer want to compare and compose in that? Yes, come on, can somebody? No, not 25. This is, yes, is it 25? 25, 24. Yes, 25. Yes, very, very important. But how many he had to finish? How many did Chaucer finish by the end of the Legend of Good Women? Come on, who will answer this question? Yes. How many? 19. Wonderful, Srinivas. Wonderful. Wonderful, Tirupati. Wonderful. Yes. This is what we require, my friends. So, friends, we are talking about a very new topic, that is and Renaissance. Friends, see, and what we are going to talk about today is, and we may talk about it for 3 to 4 days, and I'll talk about only Renaissance for mainly 3 to 4 classes, my friends, remember. And so Renaissance, so friends, we discussed the period from 1500 to 1660, which you can say Renaissance. Next, what is Renaissance actually? So first, when we talk about Renaissance, first let me tell you a lot of questions about it. In the history of net examination, you have and we had plenty of bits based on Renaissance, like this: who is the first Renaissance man in English literature? Who is the last Renaissance man in English literature? What is the meaning of the word Renaissance? Several times these bits were repeated. The concept of Renaissance first began in Italy, France, Germany, or India. Like, there were plenty of bets. Who is the first Renaissance man from Italy? And who of the following is not a Renaissance man who spoke about the ideals of Renaissance from Italy? And the concept of Renaissance is associated with a dash. The concept of Renaissance is not associated with the dash field of knowledge, dash field of literature. Like that, plenty of bits were given based on the concept of Renaissance. And what does it mean by Renaissance? And there are plenty of powerful dialogues like, I think, therefore I am. Who made this statement? Give me extension and motion, I will construct the universe. Who made this statement? See, very popular dialogues. Man is a measure of all things. This statement is connected with dash, Renaissance. Who made this statement? What does it mean by man is a measure of all things? What does it mean by I think, therefore I am? And what does it mean by give me extension and motion, I will construct the universe? What made Descartes to make this statement? So all these aspects you need to know, apart from talking about the summaries, or apart from talking about a number of writers during this period. Okay, see, and Civil War took place during dash period, and all the globe theatres were closed during dash Renaissance, Romanticism, globe, and Victorianism or Old English, like that. What is the reaction against Dark Ages? Who is the first Renaissance man? And Sir Philip Sidney's Astral and Stella talks about dash love and the concept of love, courtly love, and which is connected with the Renaissance. Like there are plenty of bits and based on. So the moment once we go further, we will have plenty of bits, plenty of writers, and who spoke about the concepts. So my friends, see, so what is Renaissance? The period from 1500 to 1660. Friends, with regard to language, with regard to the English language that we've been talking about today, which became popular only by 1500. This also given in the history of NET examination. The modern English began in 1500, 1066 and 1831 and 1939. Like that, it is 1500 and 2013 December net bit this is. So plenty of time these bits were given, my friends. You need to know. So the concept of modern English, which we've been talking about, which became popular only in 1500. This is what we need to talk about. So as I told you several times, the moment you talk something, the moment you read something, you should always have a point in your mind. How do I get bits based on these components? And what were the previous bits given based on the topic? If are there any bits which were given based on the concepts, theories, features, writers? If there are, read. If there are no, don't read it. Don't waste your time. That's what I suggest most of my students. So see, what is Renaissance? 1500 to 1660, the concept of Renaissance. And this is rebirth. What does it mean by Renaissance? Rebirth, and it refers to the birth of the modern world out of the ashes of the dark ages. Dark ages. First, we need to understand why the birth of the modern world, the birth of the modern world, the birth of the modern language, the birth of the modern English, the birth of the modern man from the world. So it's a rebirth of a man, rediscovery of a man. Who am I in this world? What is being done? What is my role in this world? Who are these people to control me, and who are controlling me, and is it required to be controlled by them, and what is my identity in this world? So people started for the first time to think about they, because a lot of and dynasties, Tudor dynasties and the dark ages, you can find a lot of Tudors and the small kings. They control the common people mainly during and 100 years of war. 100 years of war which took place between two important countries, England and France, and it is in terms of Catholicism. And as a result, and the power is not in the hands of the Catholicism wholly, hence people had excess of freedom. Renaissance simply makes one small statement: excess of freedom. It talks about the concept of freedom. Everybody today, you see, everybody. For example, if I think about today's class, out of 51, there are more than 50% of 50% of women who have been watching our video. And what do they require? Because why are they watching? They want autonomy. They want freedom. They want financial autonomy. They want economic autonomy. They want social autonomy, social freedom. They are not interested to depend on men in the modern world, and they are searching for identity. Hence, why are you watching my video? For example, if I ask you a question, you want identity. What identity? You want to have an identity like I have. So Venkanna, MA, Venkanna, two JRFs, two nets, and two sets. I'm talking about today. I've been talking about it because I have my own identity. Same thing, you want to have that identity, hence you've been watching these videos. Yes or no? Yes. So that's what people for the first time thought about identity. They were reluctant to be controlled by the king, controlled by the church, controlled by the traditional institutions. They revolted against them, those institutions. That is Renaissance. Yes, today you see, even nobody is controlled by somebody. Yes, even husband always feels that I am not to be controlled by my wife, and wife usually believes I should not be controlled by my husband. I should have a lot of freedom. I should not ask all the time, husband, can you give me 2 rupees? Can you give me 500? Can you give me 1,000 rupees so that I can buy a sari? No, today most of the modern women are not like that, and this is a concept. This is the concept of identity, individuality. Today, we have a lot of individuality. We are searching for individuality. Individuality, not just in studies and not just in taking something, eating something, dressing something. For everywhere, you need individuality. The people of Britain, the people of England, for the first time thought about individuality. That is what the birth of the modern world out of the ashes of the dark ages. Why dark ages? Dark ages, the small Tudors controlled common people. The king was not able to control the people were not under the control of the king or church as a result of the fall of the Constantinople. Next, discovery of the world, which means discovery of the man, discovery of the world. See, in 1493, Columbus discovered America. So and by 1500, most of the people thought that England was the only place on the earth to lead our life. But by the end, after 1500, people recognized England is not the only place to survive. There are other parts of the world. The discovery of the world. There are plenty. It is not, and England is not the only place on the earth to lead our life. There are plenty of places like America, like India, and other parts of the world. This was discovered. That is what the discovery of the world, a discovery of the East, discovery of the West. People thought the West was the only place on the earth, but after 1500, there was a change among the people. There was a kind of change. This change, and which you can say Renaissance. Next, the discovery of the man, very very important. The discovery of the man. See, God gave us a wonderful life. You will have a lot of problems. Problems are everywhere. See, my friends, and without problems, there is nothing in this world. As a human being, you need to have pain and pleasure are common in our life. And people, the discovery of the man, which means people recognized, man for the first time recognized, who am I in this world? What is my role in this world? What is this society? What is this culture? What is this religion? What is this tradition? And they have started putting a question mark everywhere. What is this Bible? What is this culture? What is this society? What is this country? In this, what is my role? What needs to be done? God gave a wonderful life as a human being. It is a great thing that is given by the Lord Venkateshwara. So the popular God. But the thing is, and are you able to identify your own identity, individuality in this world? So during this period, people realized what is their identity, what is their social identity. For example, say I realized my identity. Yes, I am going to be only a teacher, a lecturer, or a teacher of English. That is going to be my identity. That's it. And if you recognize what needs to be done, and God gave this and life, and what needs to be done, we can help for people. You need to recognize your identity. So this is what Renaissance means, the discovery of the man. Right, and common people realized their identity, social identity, cultural identity, moral identity, and national identity, and in which they were leading their life. That is what. And before that, they were under the disguise of the concept, under the facades of Christianity, facades of religion, facades of culture, facades of Tudor dynasty. They were covered. They were not. They did not. For example, you can see, if you don't have an identity, people use you for their identity. A popular dialogue made by Aristotle or Socrates. That is what people for the first time thought, and they started using their thinking. Their thinking, and what is my role in this world? What needs to be done? What needs to be created? If Mohan is able to create history, why can't I? People started thinking. The discovery of the man. Next, at the era of the emergence of autonomy, very, very important, my friends. Today, everybody wants to have autonomy. This is what very important term that I like. And autonomy, individualism, where in life? That's what I've been talking about. Today, people, everybody wants to have individuality and individual autonomy in terms of eating food, in terms of life. If you want to lead your life, see, parents, they spend a lot of money, a lot of time to educate kids, but at the end what will happen? They take care of their own life. They don't look after their parents. They don't think of the time and life that they have spent. So the concept of individual and renaissance, which emphasizes the concept of autonomy or individuality in life. So in life, in your society, in your social life, in your moral life, in your ethical life, in thought. See, most, for example, you can think of the students who usually prepare for NEET examination, and you can think in before 2000, children were controlled by parents. Only parents wanted their kids to be either engineers or doctors. But today, and people have their own thinking. Even a student of class 10, even my son, my elder son, he says, and you can eat this. No, I don't want this. A kid of 3 years old, 3 years young, and he says, no, I don't want to eat this. I want that. So, which means he and even a kid looks for autonomy, individuality in terms of thinking, in terms of food. Next, you see religion. You can see, I will give a wonderful instance. You can look at the popular actors from Tamil industry, and Kamal Hassan, and his daughters, two daughters, and his wife, and you can see how they are, how they lead their life, and they are all Brahmins converted, and Kamal Hassan converted into Buddhism, and Shruti Hassan and into the concept of Christianity, and Akshara Hassan, and she converted herself into Islam. See the concept of, and a wonderful house with different religions, individuality of human beings. That's what people during this period, they did not like the imposition of religion. They wanted their own, they wanted to have their own religions, their own thoughts, their own lifestyle, their own arts. Friends, you need to remember this. You will get a bit. The concept of Renaissance emphasizes autonomy in dash, in not dash. So you need to remember life, thought, religion, art. Okay, you can say. Or else you can take a code like ta and tal. You can have your own code. So major important aspect is going to be and life, thought, religion, and art. It began first in Italy. Yes, very, very important. Several times this bit was given in the history of NET examination. Very, 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 very important. The concept of Renaissance first began in Italy. Very, very important, my friends. When? During 14th century. So the concept of Renaissance in English began only during 16th century, and first it became popular concept where, so the concept of the ideas of having individuality, autonomy in life, thought, religion, and art. For example, somebody, you can say art, and today there are a lot of people, they can paint their own, they can have their own style of art, and you are not there to question because they have their own individuality. That's what we've been talking about. And these ideas and first began among the people, among the writers of Italian literature. During when? In 14th century. Very, 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 very important with regard to your NET examination. So in the history of NET, there was a bit. The concept of Renaissance first began in Italy. So friends, you talk about first Italian Renaissance, next English Renaissance, next American Renaissance, next French Renaissance, next German Renaissance, next Indian Renaissance, like next Harlem Renaissance. See how many terms are there. Every time you will get a bit. Who coined the word Harlem Renaissance? Who talks about American Renaissance? Who talks about Italian Renaissance? Who talks about English Renaissance? Very, very, very important with regard to your exam. This is what, my friends. So this is a kind of introduction. Next, friends, you can see, yeah. Next, in this period, next, the European arts of painting, sculpture, architecture, and literature reached an eminence. Very, very important this is. Okay, this is very, very important. The concept of Renaissance is connected with the concept of Renaissance is connected with dash field of knowledge. You will get a bit. Previously we got. So the concept of people exhibited individuality, writers exhibited autonomy in terms of writing literature. So in terms of writing literature, writers used their own individuality, their own thinking, their own and integrity in terms of writing literature, maybe poetry, drama, or something else. Example are all the works written during Renaissance. Next, architecture. Architecture, it is also one of the fields, and people exhibited and individuality, autonomy in terms of architecture. Next, people exhibited autonomy in terms of painting. P refers to painting, you see. This can be attributed to painting, sculpture, architecture, literature. Very, very important components. So literature, arts, painting, sculpture, and architecture, these are the various fields. Okay, next, it is perhaps best known for its artistic developments and the contributions of polymaths of Leonardo da Vinci. Very, very important. Michelangelo, who inspired the term Renaissance man, and Petrarch. As I told you, the concept of Renaissance first began only in Italy. And who spoke about the concepts of Renaissance first in Italian literature? It was Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci. Hence, he is called the first Renaissance man. Who coined the word Renaissance man? Michelangelo. Michelangelo, one of the writers, one of the poets, painters of Italian literature. We are talking about the background, friends. Remember, background this is. Next, who inspired the term Renaissance man? And Petrarch. So there are 5 major important writers, both poets and painters, who spoke about the concepts of Renaissance in Italian literature, in Italian paintings. And who are they? And I have a code for this, LMPRD. You can have a code. For example, see, it's very difficult, my friends. I experimented with my mind several times. I made a number of mistakes. I was on the verge to qualify NET and several times, but I missed. And when I was not able to recognize the answer, because see, and having a lot of exposure to literature, and I told you, I did my MA in 2008. Okay, I completed my MA, but I struggled to qualify this exam. I qualified only after continuous preparation for more than 3.5 years. Very, very difficult, my friends. And if you don't have that kind of knowledge, that's what I have a code for that. LMPRD. L, Leonardo da Vinci. M, Michelangelo. P, Petrarch, Francisco Petrarch, who introduced the term, and Italian sonnet. Do you remember Italian sonnet, Francisco Petrarch? And R, Raphael, popular writer Raphael. Based on this name, we talk about a particular ism, that is pre-Raphaelite brotherhood in 1848, that is connected with Raphael, pre-Raphaelite. Very, very important, because they imitate Raphael in 1848. That's what the story of pre-Raphaelite brotherhood. And D, Dante, who composed a popular poem called, popular epic, The Divine Comedy. Wonderful text. All these are popular Italian Renaissance experts of poets and painters. So Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, LMPRD, have a code, LMPRD. LMPRD, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Petrarch, Raphael, Dante. Very, very, Dante, you can think of Divine Comedy. Raphael, pre-Raphael brotherhood in 1832 to 1848 during Victorian period. And Petrarch, the Italian sonnet, Michelangelo, a wonderful poet and painter, Leonardo da Vinci, the first foremost Michelangelo who coined the term Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Da Vinci Code you might have heard about. Next, the art historian Erwin Pantovsky observed the concept of Renaissance, not required. The word Renaissance literally meaning rebirth. In French, it means rebirth first appeared in English in 1830s. Okay, this is also not required. You can get the idea. The concept of Renaissance, which means rebirth according to French. Rebirth, reawakening, rediscovery. So all these are synonyms that can be attributed to Renaissance. Friends, and this is what little bit definitions and background to Renaissance. Now we'll be talking about what are the major features. So my lecture is going to be introduction to Renaissance and background to Renaissance we discussed. Now we are going to talk about features. What are the characteristics? Friends, you need to have, this is very important. For example, in the NET examination, you will get a bit. What is the theme of Dr. Fortress by Christopher Marlowe? For example, you will get a bit. What is the theme of Shakespeare's Hamlet? Or else you will get a bit. The White Devil, the Deaths of Malfi, and deal with dash theme. Like you will get. So you know one thing. What is that? This book, this poem, this drama is composed during Renaissance. But you are not able to guess the theme of the poem, theme of the drama. Then how can you do that? How? Because is it easy? Is it easier to read all the poems and their summaries? Very difficult. Is it easier to read all the summaries of all the plays that are composed during and in entire English literature? Very difficult. Frankly speaking, very difficult. Even I have not gone through more than 100 dramas, more than 50 novels, and more than 100 or 150 poems, and I was able to qualify JRF. So what I'm trying to say, and how did I answer them? Only your thinking power, your prediction, your inference. So how you are able to apply the concepts when you are reading the question, that is very important. And most of the students are not able to qualify NET or JRF in English because our syllabus is vast. For example, you can see English poetry. What are they going to read? And when you say English poetry, there are lakhs of poems. How many poems are you going to read? Frankly, I'm asking you guys, just think of it. That's what then, if you have not gone through those poems, but you should have the ability to guess. How can you guess when you read these features? Very, very important. Say, the English Renaissance was a cultural and artistic movement. So what are the features? Features, I can say, themes or characteristics or principles of literature that is composed during Renaissance, 1500, 1660. What was the literature about? What were the poems about? What were the plays about that were composed during Renaissance? That's what I'm talking about. So how can you guess? So the English Renaissance was a cultural and artistic movement, which means literature was written about artistic. It was about cultural movement, artistic movement. Next, the development came late to England in 16th century. So first in Italy during 14th century, during Elizabethan and Jacobean. These are the major. Elizabethan 1558-1603, Jacobean 1603 to 1625. This is the peak stage of the concept of Renaissance. And Sir Philip Sidney, the popular poet of Renaissance, he is called the first Renaissance poet in English Renaissance, and the first Renaissance poet in Italian, Leonardo da Vinci, and the first Renaissance poet in English, and Sir Philip Sidney. First Renaissance poet in American literature, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Like you need to know all, you need to make a connection. I'll tell you a lot of inversions, how you can connect the concepts of Italian into English, English into and American, and these three into Indian. I will give you a lot of inferences. And when you read several times, you will be able to make connections. If you read 1, 2, 3 times, it is very difficult. So Sir Philip Sidney, first Renaissance man. John Milton is considered to be the last great Renaissance poet, which means the ideals, the themes of Renaissance, the concepts of autonomy, freedom, individuality in life, religion, thought, art, were first exposed by Sir Philip Sidney, and the last person who spoke about the concepts of individuality and freedom, and it was only John Milton. Next, during the Renaissance, a number of events and discoveries affected radical and distinctive changes. Okay, a number of changes. There were changes in terms of science and technology. Hence, you can say Renaissance as new learning, which means several things. Earth is not the only thing, and Earth is not the only place, and which is an independent planet. So before 1500, the concept of Renaissance can be understood in four ways, because there were many changes in four major important areas. As new learning happened, what was written in Bible, and people started learning new things by inventing telescopes and other aspects. The Renaissance has new cosmos, which means people thought that Britain was the only place on the earth. Later, people realized that not the Britain, America is also a part of the world. India is also part of the world. There is other cosmic world beyond this. People invented, and important experts like Galileo, Descartes, they invented a telescope and they discovered many things. That's what we've been talking about. A number of events and discoveries affected radical and distinctive changes where in terms of beliefs. What is written in the Bible? The beliefs, and people had opposite in terms of the beliefs that were written in the Bible. So they have new knowledge about and beyond Bible. And productions, they produce new things. And manner of life, and many people, manner of life. And before Renaissance, people were under the control of the church, but they spoke against the church. They spoke against the king, and they revolted against the king. That's what manner, lifestyle. In the upper and intellectual classes mainly, and intellectual class of people, they had different styles, different concepts, and some little bit introduction. Next, it is regarded as a cultural bridge between the Middle Ages and the modern history, because they created history. And during this period, a number of intellectuals, they wrote a lot of literature to talk about new things, new ideas, new concepts, and beyond the Bible. And that's what it says. It's a cultural bridge between Middle Ages and modern history. The intellectual basis of the Renaissance was its own invented version of humanism. Very, very important. What is the other term that you can use synonymously and with Renaissance? Humanism. Humanists, which means the scholars who spoke about these ideas, the writers who spoke about the Renaissance ideals, they are considered to be humanists, derived from the rediscovery of the classical Greek philosophy, such as Pythagoras, and who said that man is the measure of all things. Very, 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 very important. This bit featured in the history of net examination. Who made the statement? Man is the measure of all things. You are the creator of your own destiny. Simply, you can say today. Man is the measure of all things. A man is the measure of all aspects in the world, which is made by and Pythagoras. Next, friends, in politics, so the concept of Renaissance can be attributed to politics. The Renaissance contributed to the development of customs and conventions of diplomacy. In science, to an increased reliance of observation. Very, very important. During this period, and humanist literature was based on observation, not on the static ideas that are exposed through the Bible, through the traditional institutions. So it was, people started giving priority to the observation. If I say, for example, if I say statement, cracking net examination is a cakewalk, is it true? You observe a lot of people, you write a lot of examination, you say, what Venkana sir said, which is wrong. So how do you say that? Based on observation, based on the feedback. Next, inductive reasoning, very, very important. Not deductive. What deductive? Not based on the rules, based on the examples, based on the inferences, based on the practical exposure. These were given a lot of importance rather than the principles which are already existed. So literature was influenced by these principles, scientific principles, the essential and permanent truths about God. Permanent truths about God, man, and the universe were considered to be adequately known. They were questioned because there are plenty of ideas, there are plenty of truths about God. They were questioned, and there are plenty of thoughts about man. Man, for example, and king is a messenger of the God. Who is king is the messenger of the God. Whatever the king says, you need to obey. It was there in the Bible, and people obeyed before Renaissance. But during Renaissance, they questioned. We are human beings. You are human beings, and when you kill us, we get blood, and you get blood. What is the difference between you and I? These types of questions were raised by the common people. These were written in terms of books. That is what Renaissance. So, and this indicates the vitality and the restless curiosity and imaginative audacity of many scholars, thinkers, artists, adventurers. So they went beyond the Bible, and they started using observation, inductive thinking, and they wrote about all those observation in terms of literature, and which are against to the church, against the king, against the traditional institutions. Okay, this is what I wanted to say, my friends. Thank you all, and we'll close for today's session, and we'll be meeting tomorrow. Okay, next we'll be talking about tomorrow, and if you get any doubts, my friends, you go on asking. Sir, your voice is like okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Next, yeah. Thank you, guys. It's only because of your encouragement. Today, actually, I had a second dose of vaccination. A little bit looking like a little bit lazy, but still. And I thought you guys are waiting for me, and I have to be somewhat energetic so that you will get some kind of benefits because your exam is approaching. That's what I had my intention, and here to take up. Again, somewhat looking some kind of as act. I'm not as active as I and I am. Okay, guys, we'll meet tomorrow, same time, and we'll be talking about the concept of Renaissance in literature. Okay, right, guys, and see you then. See you tomorrow. Yeah, some students are asking for tips for PhD entrance examination. I will make a video. Don't worry.